Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, June the 2nd. We got a 4-game slate for Wednesday. It's been a while since we've had a 4-game slate. I'm pretty sure this is most likely going to be our last 4-game slate of the playoffs. After this, we'll probably have 3 games or less, just the rest of the playoffs, because the Bucks series, the Bucks Heat series, that's over. The Nets and Celtics series is over, so we're pretty much starting to lose more games as teams start to get eliminated. But we do have a 4-game slate to talk about today. As always, guys, we're going to go game by game, just kind of give you my early thoughts, what does stand out to me looking at the slate on Tuesday night. So before we get started with the breakdown, be sure to click that like button down below. I do always appreciate the likes, and if you are new to the channel here, click that subscribe button as well. Also, be sure to click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. And if you do really enjoy the YouTube videos that I put out, if you really enjoy the content I put out on YouTube, I do have additional stuff on Patreon that you can check out. Link down below in the description. I do give full updated core plays on Patreon. I list off my favorite plays at each position. I, basically make a player pool. I list the players I have interest in. With the guys being I have the most interest in at the top, basically like a ranking form. So all that can be found on Patreon. Plus, I do have a Discord chat that is available for Patreon members. If you want to check all that out, it is linked down below in the description. You can do that if that's something that interests you. But let's go ahead and take a look at Wednesday's slate. We'll start off with the Wizards and Sixers game. So this is a very, very interesting one, especially on the Philly side, because Joel Embiid's going to be doubtful. He's not expected to play. So there's going to be a lot to like from the Sixers, but we'll start off with the Wizards here. You got Westbrook and Beal at the top as usual. 11,400 for Westbrook, 9,300 for Bradley Beal. Westbrook, after a couple mediocre games to start off the series, he's been really good these last 2 games. He's put up a triple-double in both. 60 DraftKings points in Game 3. In Game 4, he had 72 DK points. We know Westbrook's going to play massive minutes. As long as it's a close game, I think Westbrook plays like 40 to 42 minutes. I mean, this was a game that I think maybe can stay close with the Sixers not having Joel Embiid here. I think it's a lot more likely we do see a competitive game. Right now, the line is only 6, so like Philly's only favored by 6. Vegas is expecting a close game. So I expect Westbrook to play 40 to 42 minutes. He had a terrible shooting game last game and still went for 72 DK points. Because, this right here, 21 rebounds, 14 assists, that's what Russell Westbrook does. He's obviously a great rebounder. He's a guy that can get a ton of assists. He doesn't need to go out there and drop 40 real-life points to have a big game. He can do so much with the peripherals. I like Westbrook a lot. It's just, a matter of if you can fit him in or not. He's kind of been tough to roster these last few slates. He's been really low owned. But obviously, if you can fit him in, Westbrook's a clear top option. We do have some value today that we will talk about that I do like. I think with the Sixers not having Embiid, that's going to open up some value that we will mention. But there are a lot of good mid-range plays I do like today. If I'm playing one lineup, I don't know if I get to Westbrook, but I definitely want to have exposure to him. Especially if I'm playing just a handful of lineups, I would likely have Westbrook in at least a couple of those. He's going to be in my player pool for sure. If I'm just playing one lineup, though, I think I'm going to prefer some of these mid-range options that we'll talk about in a second. Then you have Bradley Beal at 9,300. Not as interested in Bradley Beal. Obviously, Beal's going to play a ton of minutes as well. He's a lot more scoring dependent than Westbrook is. Beal's going to need to go out there and put up 35, 40 real-life points to have a big game, but he can do that. He's going to take a ton of shots. He's going to take 25 to 30 shots. If he shoots the ball well, he has upside for sure, but there are guys for cheaper that I do prefer over Bradley Beal today that I think have just as much upside, so don't know if I'm going to get to Beal. Then you have Rui at 4,800. Rui, for the first 3 games in this series, was pretty mediocre. He was playing good minutes and just wasn't producing, but he had a huge game last game. Had 45 DraftKings points in 42 minutes. Davis Bertans did get injured last game and was not able to return. He's already been ruled out for this game, and he's going to be out for, I'm pretty sure, just like the rest of the playoffs. So without Davis Bertans, that thins up this rotation even more. It's likely that we do get 38 to 40 minutes from Rui again. Can we expect him to put up 45 DraftKings points? Probably not, but if he's going to play like 40 minutes, I mean, Rui at 4,800 definitely has at least... He can produce enough to where he can give you a good score at 4,800 if he's playing 40 minutes. So I definitely have interest in Rui. I don't know if we can expect a big game like that again, but the minutes alone do make him a viable option. Daniel Gafford, though, is probably my favorite play from the Wizards. I liked him a lot last slate once we got the news he was starting. I'm assuming he's going to start again. No Joel Embiid to have to worry about. With Embiid not out there, this definitely becomes a lot better matchup for Gafford. So at 4,700, he's definitely one of my favorite plays on this slate, and I do like him a lot on Yahoo as well. At $16. Like I said, he did start last game, and he played the most minutes that he's played all series. Played 26 minutes, and that was with him getting in foul trouble. He did get into some early foul trouble and was pulled early because of that. But still got good run, had 12 points, 4 rebounds, 5 blocks, and a steal in those 26 minutes, and he had 29 DK points. The peripherals, or the stocks, I should say, those are a little bit of an outlier. 5 blocks, I don't know if we can expect that again, but just given that he played 26 minutes, along with being in foul trouble, there's maybe a chance that Gafford gets 28 minutes today if he can stay out of foul trouble. And I think, without Embiid out there, it's definitely a lot more likely that Gafford does not get in foul trouble, given he won't be having to guard Joel Embiid. So I do like Gafford a lot, assuming he's starting again. I think he's one of my favorite values right now. He's a guy I'm definitely looking to on both sides. And then with Davis Bertans out, I'm assuming that Raul Neto moves back in the starting lineup. He's only 3,300. Raul Neto has not really shown to have much upside. When he's playing alongside Beal and Westbrook, he's just not going to be that productive, but he's super cheap. He's going to probably get 25 to 30 minutes. For 3,300, if you want to go to, if you do want to jam in, a couple studs today, if you want to maybe pay up for a guy like Westbrook, Neto could make that a lot easier. So as a punt option, 3,300, we don't really have any good punt value plays. I'm definitely fine with Neto, assuming that he replaces Bertans in the starting lineup. But that's probably it for the Wizards. Robin Lopez did have a big game off the bench and benefited with Gafford in foul trouble. He still only played 19 minutes, though. I think Gafford probably plays 26, 28 minutes today if he's not in foul trouble, which means Lopez probably plays 18 to 20. Could Lopez go out there and put up 25 DK points in 18 minutes? He absolutely could, but at 3,100, he is still very cheap. I don't mind Lopez. I just don't think I'm going to go there personally. He was really productive last game. I think he produced a little bit over his head. He couldn't miss a shot. That hook shot that he always does, it was just every time he shot it, it was going in. He's a fine value, but again, you're going to hope, or if you do play Robin Lopez, you're basically hoping that Gafford gets in foul trouble or something, and it could happen. Gafford is a guy that does deal with fouls a lot, but I think, with Embiid not being out there, that's going to make it a lot easier for Gafford to not get in foul trouble. So, yeah, that probably does it for me from the Wizards side. Now, looking at the Sixers here, there's a lot I like from the Sixers. Now, obviously, Joel Embiid is doubtful. He is not expected to play. So with him, not expected to play, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, I like both guys a lot. I think they're both great options today. Both guys are probably going to play 40-plus minutes. Ben Simmons was in crazy foul trouble last game, only played 25 minutes. We obviously can't expect that to happen again. If he's not in foul trouble, he's going to play 40 minutes here. No Embiid's going to allow for Simmons to just be more aggressive on offense. He had one of his best games of the season. I still remember it. It was earlier in the regular season during the Jazz. He had 70 Draftkings points. That game came without Embiid. The upside for Ben Simmons is just way higher with Embiid off the floor. He should be able to be more aggressive, should be able to take more shots. His rebounds should go up as well. 8,100, even though the price went up a little bit, I think Ben Simmons is a top option today, and he's a guy that I like a lot on both sides. He's 35 bucks on Yahoo. I think he's a clear top point guard play over there. And then Tobias Harris, basically same thing. Without Embiid, we're going to see Tobias Harris be more aggressive on offense. He took 24 shots last game after Embiid, went down, played 37 minutes, had 47 DK points. Harris is a guy that can rebound as well. He can give you 30 and 10 here and put up 50-plus Draftkings points easily. Love Tobias Harris as well. I think you can definitely play him and Ben Simmons together. I think those are two of the best plays on this slate, just in my opinion. And on Yahoo as well, Tobias Harris, $32, I think looks like a great option there. And then, there's some other guys we can talk about from the Sixers. You have Danny Green for $4,900. Now, Danny Green's not really a guy that, has a ton of upside, but maybe without Embiid, he's able to get more shots up. He probably plays 30 to 32 minutes. If he's knocking down his threes, he could give you 25, 30 DK points. I don't love him at 4,900, but he's definitely viable. Seth Curry for 4,800, you could look to as well. He probably plays around 30 minutes. Maybe without Embiid, you're gonna see the opportunity for Seth Curry to take more shots. He had a pretty bad shooting game last game, 0 for 4 from 3, only 45% from the field. I'm fine with Curry. Neither him or Green are top value plays for me, but I think they're both viable. Dwight Howard, though, I do want to mention 4,300. So Dwight Howard last game, after Embiid got injured, he didn't really play a ton. He only played 14 minutes. They went with Mike Scott. You know, Mike Scott replaced Embiid the second half. He started the second half in place of Embiid. So I'm assuming that Mike Scott starts at center today. If they do start Dwight Howard, I'll definitely like Dwight Howard a lot for value. But if he comes off the bench, it does make it a bit more risky. You know, I think we probably get like 20 minutes from Dwight Howard, but we've kind of seen some games when Embiid's out, like he'll play like 26 minutes, and some games he'll only play like 18. We don't really know what Doc Rivers is going to do. I think if Howard comes off the bench, he is a little bit more risky than normal. But 4,300, he's still fairly cheap. I do have some interest in Dwight Howard today. I'll like him a lot more if he starts, but I'm expecting him to come off the bench. And Mike Scott, I'm assuming, will start. You know, even though Mike Scott probably plays like 25 minutes here, like he's just not a very high upside option. He doesn't really do much outside of shoot threes. You're going to need him to knock down like 4 or 5 threes to really, you know, put up a good score. He's only 3,400, so you really can't go wrong with him, or he's not like going to kill you. If he's starting, he's probably going to score 15, 20 DK points and be a solid value, but I would be very surprised at the end of the night if Mike Scott's like a guy that you have to have. So I'm probably just going to avoid him even if he does start. We did see Tyrese Maxey play really well last game. He kind of benefited with, you know, Ben Simmons getting in foul trouble. Maybe with Joel Embiid out, though, we'll see Maxey, you know, get more usage with the second unit. As a low-owned GPP flyer, I think he's fine, but again, you know, he's a little bit risky. We don't exactly know how many minutes he plays, but they're going to need some scoring with Embiid out, so maybe they go to Maxey. But that probably does it for this Sixers team. I don't see too much else I like here. Mainly, you know, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris are the two best plays clearly from the Sixers. But I think Danny Green and Seth Curry are fine. I think Dwight Howard is a good value. I'll like him a lot more if he starts. And then Mike Scott, I think, is a, you know, fine punt option if he winds up starting. And Maxey, as a low-owned play, is okay. But that does it for the Sixers. Moving on to the next game, talking about Atlanta and the Knicks. So on the Atlanta side, you have Trae Young at the top here for 8,900. I think Trae Young's probably going to be very low owned on this slate. You know, the last 3 games he's just kind of been mediocre for fantasy. Only 41, 44, and 44 DK points. He really hasn't, you know, we haven't really seen a massive game from Trae Young outside of game 1. He did have 56 DK points then. You know, we've kind of seen these clips of like the Knicks fans booing him. You know, they were saying F Trae Young. The Knicks fans are clearly like, you know, they're clearly trying to get in like Trae Young's head right now. Maybe he comes out and, you know, is really aggressive and tries to play really well, like shut the fans up. I mean, I guess you could play him for that narrative, but I think you're just kind of playing him for the narrative alone and just for the low ownership. Trae Young clearly doesn't project as a top stud today, at least not in my opinion. There's other guys I would rather pay up for. I'd rather go to Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris for cheaper. Probably would rather play guys like Donovan Mitchell, who I really like. I like Kawhi a lot. I like PG. So I doubt I get to Trae in my one lineup, you know, but if I'm playing a handful of lineups, I would have him in my player pool. I'll probably play 20 lineups on Yahoo today. That's what I've been doing lately. So Trae Young will definitely make it into some of my Yahoo lineups, but on DK, with just one lineup on DK, I doubt I play Trae Young today. And probably, you know, the same I think could be said for the rest of these Hawks. Like Clint Capella, Bogdan, John Collins, like none of them really stand out as top plays at their salaries. Like Clint Capella has upside, but we haven't really seen him, you know, produce that well. You know, this is a bad matchup against a slow-paced Knicks team. I don't think I'm going to go to Capella today. DeAndre Hunter, I've been playing recently for value. He's been, you know, pretty bad. Only had 8 DK points last game in 28 minutes. You know, since we do have some other value today, like, you know, Dwight Howard, we're going to talk about some guys from the Clippers I like for value. I don't see Hunter getting much ownership. He's been pretty chalky these last few slates. I think he's going to come in fairly low owned today. So if you do want to stay on the DeAndre Hunter train and, you know, just kind of hope that he has a good game, I mean, you could definitely go there. He should get the minutes. He only played 28 last game, but a lot of that was due to blowout. I think if this is a close game, we probably do get like 34 to 36 minutes from DeAndre Hunter. And again, I think people are definitely going to shy away from him, you know, because he's kind of busted these last few slates. The upside's still there if he's going to be playing like 36 minutes. We know Hunter can produce. He's shown before that he can produce. Really, since his injury, he hasn't been producing at the rate that we want to see, but he's super cheap. The minutes should be there. I'm fine with Hunter as a lower owned value. That's probably it for the Hawks. I think Trae Young and Hunter are my 2 favorite plays here, and that's probably it for Atlanta. Now on the Knicks side, the Knicks have been a team. They've been a team lately I've been rostering a good amount of. I've had a good amount of exposure to the Knicks pretty much every slate so far. I don't know if that's going to be the case today. There are some other teams I like. You know, I like these Sixers guys. I like some guys from the Clippers we'll talk about. I like some Wizards today. I just don't know if the Knicks are a team that really stands out. Like, you do have Julius Randle at 9K. He's been pretty bad in this series, but did finally have a decent game last game. Had 50 DK points in 36 minutes. Still didn't have that good of a shooting game. Only 36% from the field, 50% from three. But we saw the peripherals go way up. He had 10 rebounds. He had 7 assists. We know Randall is a guy that can get those peripherals. He can get you double-digit rebounds. He got assist upside as well. He's put up triple-doubles before this season. So at 9K, I think Randall makes for a good low-owned tournament option. I probably would prefer him over Trae Young if I had to pick one of the studs in this game. I think both Young and Randall will be low-owned today. So if you want to go to them, if you have like a pretty chalky lineup and you're looking for someone to fill out your lineup that's low-owned, I think that's when I would look to someone like Randall. But there are, I think Tobias Harris just projects better for the salary savings. Tobias Harris could easily outscore Randall today, and I wouldn't be surprised, and he's, $1,000 less. So just, for the optimal play, I think the optimal play at power forward is just to play Tobias Harris, but Randall should be low-owned. Definitely have interest in him at 9K, in tournaments. Derrick Rose, he's been pretty popular these last few slates. I don't think his ownership's going to be nearly as high today. For one, his price has come up to 7,300, and also, he kind of busted last game, only had 30 DK points, but the minutes have been there. He's been playing a ton of minutes, basically since they inserted him into the starting lineup. He's been playing close to 40 minutes. I assume Derrick Rose probably plays around 40 minutes today. 7,300, he still has upside to pay off this price tag. I think he's not as appealing as he has been the last few slates, but still Derrick Rose is a viable option you can go to. But Barrett, I'm not that interested in. 5,800. He had a good game last game, but at this price point, Barrett feels priced about right. Just a guy that I don't really feel like I have to play at 5,800. Same with Alec Burks at 5,100. Could Alec Burks come off the bench and put up 30 DK points in 25 minutes? He absolutely could, but there are some other guys I do prefer for cheaper, that we'll talk about later. So don't really like Barrett or Burks that much. Not that big of a fan of Bullock. Taj Gibson's been starting lately, but he probably only plays 24, 26 minutes. It does seem like him and Noel are basically just going to split their center minutes. You'll probably get 24 from Gibson and maybe 20 from Noel, and then maybe Randall plays a little bit at center. Last game, Noel, I think, played 20 minutes, I do believe, or he only played 15. So, yeah, I just don't think I'm going to go to the centers from the Knicks, like Randall and Gibson, or Noel and Gibson. I just have no interest in. So, definitely Randall and Rose, my two favorite plays from the Knicks, and that's probably it. I mean, Barrett's fine, but in terms of top options, it's those two guys, and that's probably it. So next game, we'll move on to the Memphis and Utah game. On the Memphis side, you got Ja Morant at the top here, 8,600. Ja Morant, I think, again, is going to be another pretty low-owned guy on this slate. I don't see him getting a ton of ownership at this price point, just because there are guys that project better for cheaper, like Ben Simmons, like Donovan Mitchell on the other side of this game. I think I prefer over Morant, but Morant's been playing massive minutes. I mean, he played 43 minutes last game. This is an elimination game for them. They're down 3-1, so they have to win this game if they want to keep the series alive. If it's a close game, I expect Ja Morant to play pretty much as many minutes as he can handle. I mean, he played 43 last game. He might play 44 or 45 today. He's going to obviously, get a ton of usage. He's a guy that has upside for sure. He's got triple-double upside. He can rebound. He can get assists. He's going to take a ton of shots. I mean, he's a good option. I just don't know if he projects as a top play today, just because I do prefer Simmons for cheaper. I like Donovan Mitchell for a little bit cheaper, but I definitely think Morant makes for a good tournament play. J-Val been, kind of frustrating to roster. If you've been rostering J-Val lately, I mean, it hasn't been going well. He has yet to really put up a big game this series, but he's been playing the minutes, and that's what we want to see. 39 minutes in game one, 35 minutes the last two games. The production has not been good, but the minutes have been there. If you want to stay on J-Val and just kind of hope that he finally has a big game, I'm fine with it. I don't feel great about him right now just because he hasn't been producing that well, but the minutes have been there, which at least still makes J-Val an okay option. But that's probably it for Memphis. I don't really want to go to Dylan Brooks or Kyle Anderson on this slate. Now that we have 4 games, there's just more options. So I don't really see Brooks or Anderson being top plays for me. Same with Triple J. Now, Triple J did have a pretty good game last game. 33 DK points in 26 minutes. He probably starts and plays 30 minutes. He's fine at 5,600, but again, not a guy that I feel like I have to go to. And D'Anthony Melton came off the bench, played really well, got really hot, couldn't miss a shot, put up 27 DK points in 23 minutes. I mean, if you want to take a GPP flyer on him and just hope that he gets hot again, you could do that. But clearly, if he's not knocking down a ton of shots, I mean, he probably only plays 15 minutes. So it's just a low-owned GPP flyer at best. I don't see a ton of interest in Melton outside of just large field tournaments. Really, I think Ja Morant's the clear top play for Memphis, and the rest of these guys I think are just lower owned tournament options. I don't see too much ownership going to this Memphis team. Morant will probably be the highest owned play for Memphis, and the rest of these guys should be fairly low owned on a 4-game slate, at least I think so. But then on the Utah side, there's a decent amount I do like here. At the top, I do have a lot of interest in Donovan Mitchell today. I liked him a lot last slate. He was fairly low owned. It was a 2-game slate, and Mitchell was like 25-30% owned, which was crazy. And he had a good game, 49 DK points. He played 35 minutes. I said it in my video on Tuesday or Monday, whenever that was, that I expected Mitchell's minutes to increase, and sure enough, they did. He played 26 minutes in Game 1, his first game back from injury. Then he saw 30 minutes, and then he saw 35 last game. So I'm expecting we get at least 35 from Mitchell today, maybe more. He might play 36, 38. We know Mitchell has a ton of upside. He's a guy that's obviously going to take a ton of shots. He's going to take 25 to 30 shots. He's still shooting wise, he's still not been that efficient. I mean, 36% from the field, 28% from 3. Like, he really hasn't had a good shooting game yet, and he's still been putting up good games. 41, 49 DK points. I like Mitchell a lot here at 8,200. I think he's definitely too cheap if we can expect him to play like 35 plus minutes. Mitchell should be close to 9K right now if he's going to be getting his normal minutes, especially in the postseason where you see, you're going to see a lot of these stars really dominate the usage in the postseason. I like Mitchell a lot today. He's too cheap on DraftKings in my opinion. I'm going right back to him for sure. So I like Mitchell a lot. I think Gobert is okay. He's not like a top center play for me. I'd rather go down to like Gafford for cheap. I like some of the value we have at center, but Gobert's fine. Same with Mike Conley. Conley was very popular on Monday in that 2-game slate, and he busted as chalk. His price went up as well, so I don't think Conley's going to be nearly as popular today. If you want to go there, I'm fine with it, but if I can find the salary, I would definitely rather play Donovan Mitchell over Conley. And then like Clarkson, no interest. Ingles, no interest. Royce O'Neal, if he was cheaper, I'd have some interest in, but at 5,100, he's just priced too high right now. I don't want to go to Royce O'Neal at this price point. He's going to get the minutes, but he's just not a productive enough player to where I want to pay 5,100 for him, especially when there's better value for cheaper. We're going to talk about a guy like Nicholas Batum, who I like for value. So, yeah, that's probably it for Memphis, or for Utah, excuse me, and that does it for this game. So we'll talk about the last game of the night real quick before we do end the video. Starting off on the Dallas side, you got Luka Doncic at the top for 10,800. Luka right now is probable. He's expected to play. I think Luka is a good tournament option. I think he's going to be pretty low owned on this slate. I mean, for a 4-game slate, I don't expect Luka to get massive ownership. He was disappointing last game. I think I haven't been watching these Mavs games, but I'm pretty sure people have been saying that Luka's like clearly hurt right now. He was. I did see a clip where he was like holding his neck, which is basically what kept him out, or what he was on the injury report for a neck injury, and he was holding his neck last game. Like, we don't know what Luka's health is, if he's 100% right now. It's the playoffs, so these guys are going to play through pain, but Luka's definitely risky. It kind of feels like the Chris Paul situation. Like, we don't exactly know what his health is. I mean, he shot the ball terribly. He couldn't make a 3. He 0 for 5 from the free throw line, which is crazy. Like, Luka, I mean, you would not expect him to go 0 for 5 from the free throw line. Luka's risky. If you want to take the shot on him in tournaments, it's fine, but like, I feel better about Westbrook for cheap, or for a little bit more. Like, if I can get up to Westbrook, I'd rather play Westbrook. I like some other guys for cheaper. I don't think I'm going to play Luka today, but if Luka goes out there and puts up 70, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think I'm going to get to him. And really, this Mavericks team, I don't really like a ton of guys here. Like, the Mavericks are probably my least favorite team on the slate. I mean, Porzingis is cheap, but man, he's just been so bad in this series. Until we see a good game from Porzingis, like, I'm just not going to play him. I mean, I haven't played him at all this series, and I'm not going to play him today. And if he finally goes out there and has a big game, then, so be it. But I'm just willing to bet that Porzingis has a mediocre game and doesn't smash. I'd rather play like Tobias Harris, even though Tobias Harris is going to be way more popular. I just feel way better about him. Tim Hardaway at 5,700, again, just a guy I don't really feel like I have to have at this price tag. He's going to play a ton of minutes, but for 5,700, he feels priced appropriately. Maxi Kleber, I've been kind of playing for value lately, but he's now priced up to 4,300. I don't really have any interest in him. I mean, yeah, this Mavs team, I just don't really like any Mavs today. They're probably my least favorite team on the slate, and I don't really see too much I like here. On the Clippers side, though, I do like a good amount from the Clippers. Starting off at the top with Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, his price tag on DraftKings has started to come up a good amount. Obviously, the first game of the series, he was 8K. He was clearly a just smash play at that price tag. But he's still been, he's been smashing even regardless of the price tag coming up. I mean, he's still been, outperforming his salary. 56, 59, 56, 55 DK points, And last game, you know, was a blowout, and he didn't even play much in the fourth quarter, and he still had 55 DK points. He probably would have went for 60 plus had it been a close game. I mean, Kawhi's just been so good in the playoffs. He's playing massive minutes. I mean, the series is tied right now at 2-2, so, you know, this is a huge game for the Clippers. They obviously want to come through and, you know, get the W, go back home, you know, or no, they'll go to Dallas, you know, with the 3-2 lead, not have to play a Game 7, you know, try and, you know, win back-to-back if they can. So, huge game here for the Clippers. I expect Kawhi to play massive minutes, 40 to 42 minutes if it's a close game. He's clearly a top option today. Now that his price is coming up a little bit, he's not new. I wouldn't say he's not as good of a play as he was when he was 8K. Like, when he was 8K, you just played him and you didn't really think twice about it. Now that he's 9,600, you know, he's not just a slam dunk, but it's still one of my favorite studs for sure. I like Kawhi a lot on Yahoo, though. I think Yahoo is where he really stands out. They've just been a lot slower to price him up. $44, I mean, he was, I think at the beginning of this series, he was $40. Yeah, no, he was $36. He was way too cheap at the beginning of the series. His prices went up from $36 since Game 1 to $44, but still $44 is too cheap for Kawhi, especially if we expect him to play 40-plus minutes and likely score, you know, 50-plus fantasy points. As a small forward position, if I can pay up for Kawhi, he is definitely the guy that I like most as small forward. And I like him a lot on Draftkings as well. And then Paul George at 8,800. I prefer Kawhi straight up. Kawhi's just been better. He's just been more productive. He's been more consistent. But we know Paul George has a ton of upside as well. We know he's going to play a ton of minutes. Him and Kawhi are clearly just going to dominate the usage on this team. Paul George is not as good of an option as Kawhi is, but still viable for sure if you do want to go there. Rondo off the bench probably plays like low to mid-20s minutes. 4,800 feels priced about right. I don't think Rondo really stands out today, but it's a fine play. Reggie Jackson's going to start, probably play like 30 to 32 minutes. I probably would rather play him over Rondo just because we know he's going to play more minutes. Rondo's a slightly better per-minute player, but Jackson probably plays like 5-6 more minutes than Rondo does. So if I had to pick one of the guards, it'd probably be Reggie Jackson. But my favorite value from the Clippers is Nicholas Batum. I think Batum stands out as one of the best value plays on this slate, along with Daniel Gafford. He started last game. They went with Batum. Basically, you know, they played pretty much a small ball lineup. They played Marcus Morris at the 5 with Batum, you know, as their power forward or whatever. I think, honestly, Kawhi might have been their center last game. He was kind of the guy that was guarding Porzingis. But, yeah, Batum started last game, played 36 minutes in a blowout, had 28 DraftKings points. He probably plays like close to 40 minutes today. You know, I kind of said it at the beginning of the series that Batum is a guy they do want to give minutes to. We saw him play 32 minutes off the bench in Game 1. I don't think they really want to play Zubac or Ibaka much at all. They want to play small. That's kind of what they've been doing. So I expect Batum to start again and get heavy minutes for 4,300. You know, he's not a great point-per-minute player, but if he's going to play nearly 40 minutes at 4,300, it's going to be really hard for him to disappoint at this salary. So I think Batum is a top value play today, and he's super cheap on Yahoo. I like him a lot over there as well. For $12 a power forward, a clear top value on Yahoo. And then Marcus Morris, you know, he might get some time at center. We don't really know. I mean, if you want to go to him for 4,600, he's fine. He probably plays like 30 to 35 minutes. I'd rather play Batum, but I think Marcus Morris is okay. Serge Ibaka, I believe, is doubtful. Yeah, he's unlikely to play, so he should be out again. Again, I don't think that really matters too much. Zubac went back to the bench last game and he played 18 minutes off the bench, so Zubac's not really viable now that he's coming off the bench. At least I don't think so. So yeah, that's probably it for the Clippers. Clearly, my favorite plays here are Kawhi and Kawhi and Nicholas Batum. But I do have interest in Paul George. I do have interest in Reggie Jackson. Rondo and Marcus Morris are okay plays, and that's probably it for the Clippers. So that does it for all 4 games on this Wednesday slate. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. As always, I do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, be sure to click that like button down below. Click that subscribe button as well, and also hit the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also do get notified every time I live stream. I'm not sure yet if I'll be live for Wednesday. We'll have to see. I may be busy Wednesday afternoon, but if I do go live, I'll probably go live, you know, around normal time, 5 or 5:30 Eastern time, somewhere around then. But I do wish you guys the best of luck on the slate. I hope you did enjoy the video. Be sure to check out my Patreon content, link down below in the description if you haven't checked that out yet. And if that's something that does interest you, I do have a lot of additional stuff on Patreon you can check out. But yeah, guys, best of luck tonight. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.